Maybe those are.
Instead of tax me.
I was really getting to that mode, right? But they're gonna need to stop.
It's screwed up.
No, it's not you. Just us.
That's. Yeah. It's like.
Mary, yeah, you can do.
He's gonna finish it.
Yeah. It's not a thing. It's big. But we're not speaking for that. Different stuff.
How you feel?
Finish.
Take it for me.
She's doing it here.
What we like natural. English.
Like training.
Oh,
A lot of it's training, both water and it's dark and then night life.
they.
Student file. You have to do a lot of training, so you don't end up upside down on the runway.
I think that's very for people.
Years back, I think. Yes, they did.
Yeah, that's, you don't need to sign, Dave.
I'm sure. I just wanted to say hello. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just, yeah.
He had his last finals today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is not baseball.
No, he's going climbing.
Oh, that's break his name.
Yeah.
I never noticed that camera up there before.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Thank you for coming. As a reminder, please sign in before you depart if you haven't already. Town of La Point Planning and Zoning Town Plan Commission Public Hearing, Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Stephen and Mary McHugh, conditional use permit application. Stephen and Mary McHugh have applied for conditional use on property located at 2027 Benjamin Road in the town of La Point, Wisconsin, parcel number 014-00076-0100, zone W1 Wilderness Preservation District, and the abbreviated description, it's 20 acres, north half, southeast quarter, northeast quarter, section 12, T50N, R03W, V741 PG322. The owner is seeking a conditional use permit for a home business. Call to order, roll call.
David Allen,
Charles Brummer.
Jim Peters.
Paul Wilhelm. Introduction and clarification of permit application. Has everyone looked at the permit application? This application is what brings us here today for a public hearing. Any questions or comments on the application? Moving on, the zoning administrator, administrative procedures, affidavits, postings, mailings, and publications.
Nice.
So we have documents for the cabinets that was posted by the previous zoning administrator at the template letter that was mailed. We don't have confirmation of the individual people that was mailed to, but it was supposed to be mailed to everyone within 300 feet of the property. We checked one of those people and that she confirmed that she did receive a letter. I also tried to reach another person who hasn't returned a call, but I think that the combination of what was in Ed Schaefer's file about the letters and then the fact that we were able to verify with at least one of the people, the property owners, looking for the actual staging of that constitutes sufficient evidence of the maintenance.
Thanks, Max. Applicant presentation. Mary?
Oh. Applicant presentation here. Steve just had back surgery last week and he wanted to be here, but he was unable to be here. What We're getting people.
For years now, so for years.
Okay, so this is the third year of us having the gallery or the studio on the property. Yes. Yes,
Making a whole business.
and we'd like to make it a home business. Continue to.
Start an arch to remember that. And for other places for people to start with. It's. You repeating after me?
Oh, you don't think they can hear you?
We
They
can-
can hear you.
You're, trying to. It's, when she shot up was here. Years back, like, we're trying to, advertise for people to come and see inside. It's a unique setting, it's a unique. We all support this island, it's have you no one place or visit. For the goal of the chamber. This just was on the island. And Barry and I just ended up playing the year years ago. And practicing weather. And this gives us location to do that. It's opening some through visits and demonstrations. And just celebrate the sign of the words.
Anything else?
Everything that is represented in the studio gallery as a whole, maybe you're on that. And it's all Steve. And it's Steve's. Oh, I say, she's there too.
Okay. Any, we'll move on, to public comment. I've got one letter that was submitted that I can read, and, it's from Glenn Carlson, to the Town Planning Commission dated July 11th, today. Oh, he's got July 11th. Yep. RE public comment on the QCUP application. Members of the TPC, I apologize for not attending in person. I had thought the public hearing was at 4 p.m. and I have another obligation at 5 p.m. Please read my comments aloud into the record. I'm writing as a private citizen and not as chair or representative of the town board. As long as the neighbors don't object, and I've heard no complaints, I have no problem with the existing business at that location, even though it stretches the definition of home occupation, which allows for minimum business visitors. So I was pleased to see this application for a CUP to become a home business, which allows for unlimited business visitors. I have some questions that I ask you consider before granting this CUP. Number one, will there be sufficient off-street parking provided for increased visitors, or will customers park on the shoulder of Benjamin Boulevard? Number two, will the CUP be specific as to the nature of the home business? Would the owners be able to add a food truck? Number three, most disturbing, given this is a request to have this building even more open to the public than it already is, has the TPC determined whether this building has ever had a commercial building inspection? I will save you the trouble of answering this. I confirmed with the town's building inspector today that the art gallery building has never been inspected by him. Thank you, Glenn Carlson. Now we'll open up the floor to public comment.
Yes, Jim Hanson, I'd like to go on record as supporting the change to the use of the facility as a place of art sales and, gathering place. I think it would be an amenity to the area, you know, it's a way to the town and there's the campgrounds there and the RV and the, parking area, and then there's plenty of us out north of Guam out there that enjoy getting to see a little bit of civilization too. And that gives us an opportunity to go visit and share nice camaraderie and look at some art.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Paul?
I got a letter to read, what, I'm not expecting you to read it. Dear Commissioners, although this letter is written in regards to the Stephen and Mary McHugh conditional use permit CUP application, I feel the topics I raise are pertinent to existing CUP holdings as well, especially those in the W1 and W2 zoning districts. Number one, there should be no off-premise directionary signage. This isn't allowed anywhere in the town of LaPointe. Number two, no live music. I'm not opposed to someone with a garage band or someone who has a jam session with friends at a private residence. I mean, that's how Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and Sly and the Family Stone got going. But when you have live music at a business, it's typically used as a draw or attraction. What would stop other CUP holders from holding what is essentially a live concert? Remember, this isn't a commercial zone. 3, the only items for sale should be items created on site. That means no consignment sales for items created off premise. No s'more kits unless the chocolate graham crackers and marshmallows are made on site. No mugs with the business logo on them unless they're thrown, blazed, and fired on site. And no clothing such as t-shirts unless the clothing is sewn and printed on site. Remember that retail trade, selling items to the general public that are manufactured, grown, or produced elsewhere and are sold substantially assembled and or ready produced, is only allowed in the C1 commercial zone, not a low density zone such as W1 or W2. Or will the town board continue to bastardize the zoning ordinance as they have continually in the past along Middle Road? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Paul. Anybody else? Yes.
Renee Larson. We have guests come to visit us throughout the summertime. And in the past 3 years, it's been something that they have enjoyed going to see another opportunity here on the island. To have that, seeing the art that's produced here, having conversation with artists. And so to me, the music that I've heard there has been background. It's not been to entice me in, but it provides, it makes a whole. It's not just a piece of art, but it's sound, it's visual. And so I support that opportunity for myself and for our guests.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I'm Kathy Lytle. It's Lytle. And it's my first meeting. I truly don't understand all the detail of the zoning and everything. But again, I'm supporting it just again for the draw of and giving the people of the island and the visitors another opportunity to see beautiful art, for the companionship, to meet other people. So if there's a way to be able to do that within all the rules that are involved in it, I just really support what Steve has done with St. Mary and what they're trying to add to the items.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Oakland, Again, my wife Kathy has expressed her thoughts and feelings regarding the gallery and so forth out there. We've have visited the gallery many times and just stopped in unannounced. Stopped in as being based on Steve's open house and so forth of hours that he has picked. All those times that we've been out here in response to some of the comments that were made in one of the letters here is that everything that we've seen out there has been created by Steve and displayed and sold as his art for the community. I've never seen anything in terms of other commercialized type object that's being shown out there. And I think in terms of individuals who come out to visit, there's ample parking out there. And I really am surprised with the one comment that I have heard from on one of the letters regarding food trucks. And it's like, that is an interesting comment because it's as an individual having his own business and trying to have his own studio, creating his own art, selling his own art, is that I don't see a need for a food truck to draw public out there. That's not the intent that I've seen his gallery have. So basically, I'm in favor of what Steve is doing and trying to get all this information sorted out and but hopefully other things can come from. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Moving on, related.
Before you go, I just want to say a few things, submit a few things for evidence. It's the WOW Studio Gallery pamphlet that describes look for the signs. I know in the past we've had issues with off-premise directionary signage out there, so I think we need clarification on that when it comes to it. So I want, because this is the time for discovery and showing things to the public and open. And then also from the March 16th Island Gazette, there are save the dates on a article by Steve McHugh listing live music. And I think we definitely need to address that live music as far as it comes to a conditional use permit for home business. This is not a commercial zone and we all know that, but I'll save other comments for later, but I just want that entered into the evidence because I think this is the time and appropriate venue to do that.
Thank you. And we can continue on this with our next step, which is related discussion. Anybody, the commission have any? Oh,
Could I ask for questions?
Oh, just a second, honey.
There are just two things I wanted to add. We, Jim and I have been coming to the island since dirt about it, but I did it for a long time. And one of the things that really was great when we first came up was a little shop on the way out on Big Bay Road, Mary Angus's little shop there. It had multiple things there, and it was just a really nice addition to the island. We still have painting that we bought there.
Cheese shop.
The cheese shop. And so obviously things have changed over the years and that kind of activity would no longer be allowed. She would no longer be able to do that. Is that correct? She would be able to do it. Okay, and then I just wanted to check on that because that was really very positive memory that I have, and And Mary's Place can not do all of that, but can add to that memory of the island. And then, I just came back from visiting Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. One of the things that is really positive about visiting there are the little studios and shops that are tucked away in the woods. They're not all in Detroit Lakes, you know, in Lakes Ring and surrounding areas are out in the woods. And again, not overrun with people, but a place to go. So,
And just one or two other things, is like Bodine's Fish Shop was out there for, I don't know how many years, since they're, and they sold books, cookbooks, fish, pop, also, there's certainly precedent on the island, and there are other places on island where the sort of thing that Steve and Mary are doing are occurring right now, and I haven't heard anybody making any folder all about that, so, I just wanted to throw that out, that there's a long history of this sort of business.
Paul?
Just to clarify, both Odine's Fish Shop and the Cheese House, Cheese Shop, whatever you want to call it, they were grandfathered uses. They existed before zoning was even created. When they stopped, the buildings got torn down, they moved, that's it. It's not a commercial zone.
It's not something, so, yeah.
Discussion?
We can speak to Glenn's questions. I mean,
Yeah, Glenn's question concerning parking, we do have parking for approximately 6 cars. That is all important. And we've got experienced in the crowd, right? Than that, for our music nights. Our music nights are a live band basic concept. It's not, big productions. It's a single person with a best, maybe two. Two. But and it's lasting 2 hours. 6 to 8 o'clock on Monday night when there's nothing else going on the island. And that's kind of what we started with that night. As far as having the building commercially inspected, all the work was done by contracted workers on the folks. Our electrician was on the board there, so everybody got, did it commercial standards. But when we did the building, it was not required to get a commercial inspection. If you want to come in, no problem. He's welcome to come in and inspect anytime. But it was not a requirement when we built the building to have commercially inspected.
Thank you, Steve.
And as far as truck, something like that.
No one,
We've done the productions in town. We've done food, we've done music. That's not the way I intend on spending my days. I'm there, I'm creating artwork, people connect to us. I'd like to invite everybody on the board to come and visit, see what they have to do with it. For that matter, it's a town board. It's not some Walmart in the middle of the aisle. This is an art studio. Music is a part of art. It's all, a combined, exercise. It's communicating, trying to connect to people. I can't think of a better thing to do than to connect with people. And that's what we try to do, connect to people with authentic, real experiences.
Thank you, Steve.
Wait, have our discussion another time, or are we gonna go with it?
Well, we can't make a recommendation of a public hearing. We
Yeah.
have a meeting right afterwards. We don't have to make a recommendation at that meeting. We've got a line item to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You do have 30 days from this public hearing.
correct.
How many typically show up during the music? How many people show up during the music nights?
Well, it really has varied, but I was, yeah, maybe 6 or 7. Sometimes it's only one couple. But probably maybe the most we've ever had, maybe there were 8 and they walked over from the town park. Now, you know, there was a group and a couple of people who came by car.
Well, we are adjourned.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. What you don't, your friends are. You see, you're not. Thanks, Sam. It's quieter here than at home. It is, I'll take this. Sleepers and stairs these days. How old are they now? 5 months today. Got a little.
Well, one of them is quite a bit.
The other sister watches.
Paul.
That's exactly how it looks.
You want a copy of this?
We got a copy.
All right, we all do here.
Whenever you are, boss.
Town will appoint special planning and zoning town plan commission. Wednesday, June 11th, 2025, town hall, immediately following the 5 p.m. public hearing. Call to order, roll call.
David Allen.
Charles Brummer.
Jim Peters.
Paul Wilhelm. Public comment, less than 1 minute. Any public comment?
He's already spoken.
Moving on, approval of previous minutes, and there's a typo here. It shouldn't read 5/7/2025. It should read June, what's the date? 4.
Where's that? Where's that?
On your agenda.
And here's the draft of the previous
On
minutes.
your agenda.
Oh.
On your approval of previous minutes.
Oh. Oh.
So can we just cross out and change the date? So, anyway, anybody,
Well, under item 6D, election of vice chair, I want to let the representative, so that should be 4 ayes. Whoever abstains under election of vice chair, it says all ayes. And then,
For yourself.
I really didn't want to. And then under 9, extended public comment, I believe Paul Bremer commented on residency requirements, if you just want to ask that. He had a brief comment on, since we were talking about residency earlier in that meeting. And that's the only 2 corrections that I saw, if anyone else has anything.
I think there's one more under number 5. old business, eight. The date for the public hearing, I think is 8/27,
Yep.
not 9/27. If you have those corrections that Charlie and I noted, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes. Wednesday, June 4th, 2020.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Zoning administrators report, written and verbal report, Matt?
Yeah, I don't have anything written, I will say that. If we have. I had, besides the lease. UP and their application, there are 4 other. Land use applications. Pending right now, and then today, while I was gone, Rick put in a couple more. But, I'm. As far as I am ready to address the 4, and 5, and lease as well. I went out to the lease property. So I'm ready to, we can talk about all of those when we get to these. Reviewing permit, land use permits.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks. Old business approved meet special exception, which I think we've done.
Yeah, we did that, Mark. They just wanted it confirmed with another,
I couldn't find it, so. You could just.
that was March, wasn't it?
I do believe so.
So first meeting in March.
Yeah.
I think I made the motion to approve, I'll make a motion to approve the Bob and Nancy Mead's special exception permit as submitted. Because that also included all the required documentation showing that it was created before May of 72.
Well, that was the hangup.
That was the hang up.
Was
Yeah, that was
finding
my hang up, so.
when the lot was created.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable after seeing that, so I'll make a motion to approve the special, the second time.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Review and approve land use applications. the Ashland County zoning administrator would take the time to actually come out here for the purposes of education and stop by the Meads property and the Stafford property.
Completely agree.
Okay, I'll take an action on the call.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Okay, well, luckily Meads is, the time is not of the essence with the Meads permit application, is what I've been told, so we can certainly table that one.
Well, and that being said, the other structures appear to meet the setbacks per the special, we just granted them that special exception, special use. So on the inland side, it looks like it adheres to that, but I have questions about gazebo, that's all.
Okay. So we'll just table this one.
Next one is, Eric Nelson. It's, 32, it's principal dwelling. No apartment, there, so it's not, his state. We permitted everything. It was on set. And then. This is right across from. Nelson.
We're in violation of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he needs the setback. This is in.
Eric, he's got his name on, he's definitely.
Only motion to approve the by Ray Nelson and Eric Nelson as submitted.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next one is, called Wilharm. This is an accessory structure on the road, old barn. I actually, they're making property of them. Setbacks.
Where did W2 start on Middle Road, just past your place?
Just passed it, right at the Ross property.
So would Ruth Ann still be in R1 and then it goes to R2?
No, Ruth Ann is R2.
Okay, lucky you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
That's how it was. That's how it is.
So is the setback's 40 feet? Right away, is that?
The front setback's 40
Yeah,
and the side setback is 30, so.
is that, and is the 42 just out of curiosity to your eve or is it to the building line?
That's to the building line,
About your eve, is that
1 foot.
1 foot eve, okay?
I think that's how we used to always measure it in the old days. They'd go right to the structure and
Yeah, actually, both Rick and Ed were not counting eaves
I don't think
in building 75.
25 years ago, we're counting.
But just to clarify it, it's part of the zoning rewrite and change some of the wordage. We're gonna allow up to a 24-inch eve.
I was gonna say, if you had like a 6 foot overhang.
To actually go into the setback. And then also the past zoning administrators have not been charging the square footage fee based on over the eve.
Oh,
The square footage is based on
building
the
for
back building footprint.
Okay.
That's how it always was, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
There's already one brand new one here, just like this one.
Oh, yeah.
So this is gonna be the second new pole building on the property.
And then you have the original.
And the originals there's gonna be a third one over here next year.
Some people collect cars, Paul collects
If you
Paul.
look at that property, it's full of junk. And the junk, the goal is to get the junk undercover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing all right. I'll make a motion to approve the Paul Wilharm land use permit as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
One of us is it. Going. Or was it you going or Dave? Going.
The next one is out on. It's road. This is a S1, it's accessory dwelling, I'm sketching color the garage. I did go out there, it is staked out, I checked the, road, I mean, from the lake and from the side, it's fine, I checked the curves from both Haven Road and Stone Point Lane, and they're clear on that, so.
And have you received the fee amount? I don't see it listed on here.
I have the check, check is, there are. People, which request
And he needs to sign this?
pardon,
He needs to sign this unless I'm looking at,
pardon.
so if we want to approve it contingent upon receiving the fees and signature of the application, I'd so move.
Have a second?
Yeah, second, yeah,
Any discussion?
no.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Okay, the last one is Mueller, it's on North Road, W2. This is an addition to the house. I went out there. That lot is so big, that addition, at least if it's that. It has no trouble with any setbacks, including Kentucky. But it was, when I was there, it was not staked. I called him and he talked to him this morning, he said it just taken the stakes down to mobile home. So, he sent me, I'm sorry, text me, some pictures, and so he did. I can pass this around, you guys can. You see that,
Do you have a copy of his application? I don't have it in my.
oh, I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't see it. So. Okay.
Here's mine.
Okay.
Yeah. And I apparently have two.
Okay. Oh, you've got two?
You got two, well, that's where mine. Thanks. Okay.
Well, that looks like some stakes over here to the right.
Yeah.
There's,
Yes, on the back end of the house,
looks like they're just sticks.
yeah. We have a definition of stakes.
I think those. This looks like that.
Yeah, right here, but I'm seeing the string over here, so, but what I'm saying is
The other thing they had out there, they must have Excel or Novado or somebody out there, they had a lot of flags, like somebody had done a
oh, sure.
mark
A
utility.
locate,
Yeah,
okay, so, but what you're saying is the lot's so super huge that,
yeah. That house would have to be triple the size of it.
oh, yeah. I mean, this one's a slam dunk, yeah.
And there too, you received the payments.
Stakes and some string.
Gotta check the
picture there.
Well, there should be, if it's sent today, there should be.
Yeah, if I turn my thing, if I turn my thing to page 2, I got the whole map here.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Approve that one as well.
I got a motion on this one.
I'll move to approve the Steve Mueller land use application for an addition as submitted.
Llewellyn seconds, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last thing I did, I was gone this afternoon, but I came back and there are two more from Rick. And I haven't even looked at them yet, and so I haven't been out there.
Can't talk about it.
I guess we'll take them up on
Yep.
next session.
Or if they need to expedite it, want to pay for a special meeting between now and our next meeting, we can do that as.
How much should they have to pay for that?
Oh, yeah.
How many?
Oh, how much? It's in the schedule of fees somewhere. I don't know if I have it. Spitballing $500. I don't know.
I think it might be 750.
Or $750, yeah.
All right, so that's it for.
Thank you, Max. Moving on, new business review of McHugh conditional use permit application and possible approval.
discuss it now, or not? It's a review, but
Well,
The UP for the Stephen Mary McHugh project.
do I hear a second
I'll second.
discussion?
Well, I think we have to establish some conditions, we just can't approve it. I mean, I still have concerns about live music. Directionary, off-premise directionary signs that we've had issues with the applicant in the past. Considering his brochure says look for the signs. I'm still not a fan of having a mixed match of signage out there. I wish Stephen Mary well, and as a home business doing their own part, that's one thing, but how far are we gonna go with live music? If someone next month applies for a home business and all they wanna do is music, maybe they're musicians and they wanna have a jam open every night of the week. I know one of the, if you look at section 7, reasons for approval of conditional use permits, standards for approval. Shall bear in mind the statement of purpose for the zoning district such that proposed conditional use does not defeat the purposes and objective of the zoning district. The town plan commission and town board shall consider the overall effect of such grant of conditional use on the health, general welfare, safety, and economic prosperity of the town and immediate area in which such use would be located, including the following, without limitation because of specific enumeration. And it goes on to list a bunch of stuff from erosion, topography. And I don't have a problem with that, but number 1, though, it says it pretty established character and quality of the area, the uses, values, and owner enjoyment of other property in the neighborhood for purposes already permitted shall in no foreseeable manner be substantially impaired or diminished by the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the conditional use. And I think Steve and Mary have to realize they're no longer in a commercial zone. They're in a W1 20-acre district, which is the, the most restrictive of all. And I think if we're going to approve this, we better have some conditions hammered out, in my estimation. Otherwise, I'm not voting in favor of just saying grant it at this time. That's my opinion.
Seems reasonable in my mind, but I am concerned that, the building was never UDC inspected.
When he applied for the permit for that building, do you know what it was listed as?
Well, he would have to do a change of use.
No, but for the building permit. We
should probably go back and pull the file and look and see what the permit said.
It's not a dwelling. The only thing I can think that would have been listed under would have been an accessory structure.
An accessory structure.
Right.
But even 205, I think at the time stated that, a commercial building would have to be inspected. And he's switching it now from accessory to commercial with it going to a business.
I don't think they needed anything at the time. They did what they were supposed to follow along the way.
Well, number 3 in Glenn's letter, we need to, in my thought process, it's valid, it's a valid concern.
Well, discussion.
Yeah.
I agree with the signage and the use and its blending of commercial. Sort of begins to take on a much more commercial element to it in the way that it's, if it's advertised. In the live music, the mediating factor is that there's just not that many people out there, but there's no, to your point around conditions, there's no governing limit to how many people could show up for those 2 people.
Well, and if you put a number on it, who's gonna go out there and count that there was 8 there or 10 there? And that's been a thing in the past on conditional use permits. Oh, we can only have 12 people there. I mean, Bud Nelson at his beer bar was only supposed to have 6 people there. And on biker weekend, he'd have like 40, 50 people there. And I know, God rest his soul, Bud's gone and it's not being used as that anymore. But that, to my point, is who's gonna go out and inspect this? I can't, rely, no offense to Max or any other zoning administrator.
Well,
but-
it's just human nature to want an inch and take a mile.
And I think Steve and Mary, I support them having a studio for their own art, strictly their own art. They can't be, what's the term? Showcasing other artists.
They don't.
No, but I'm saying, so that's one thing and.
Because people have asked.
And I'm not, if we have to put it in there about no food trucks, I don't know where Glenn got that from, but anyways, I'm not too concerned about that at this time, but we should have a
Well, I mean,
defined.
they're serving wine. Are they serving cheese with the wine and crackers?
Yeah, well,
Well, I mean, like Paul says, is the wine and the cheese and the crackers produced, on site?
well, it's a point, I mean, but I don't think, if they're serving that. They're not advertising it, how you going?
They're not charging for it, so
Right.
that might be the litmus test.
True, right. But we also have to remember, conditional use permits, unless it's specific in there, goes with the property. So Steve and Mary could sell this property to someone else, they come in, and their determination of live music
I
is
think
completely different.
if you go back and look at the conditional use permit for the yurt across from the airport.
Yeah,
That one doesn't go with the land. I think if they sell that property, the condition.
But you'd have to specifically say that, like, for for this as well, because otherwise,
It may be another condition that, people may or may not want on the commission.
that's why I think we should all have a list of what concerns might be, since we just heard the public comment portion of this, and being on this in years past, I never liked being forced into making a decision 20 minutes after a public hearing. That's just me. I'd rather sleep on it. And if it takes till the next meeting, which is in early July, that's still within the 30-day time period that we're required to hold to.
why don't you write down a list of your concerns?
I will if you will.
I don't have any.
You
Oh.
don't?
Oh, I will write down my.
There you go.
As well, yeah.
I know them and I don't have any concerns.
Okay.
He won't.
And these were neighbors that,
They were friends. They were all
Okay.
friends.
Yeah, and I mean, so having lived right next door to Bud's Hospitality Room, I understand how it can grow and change and morph into different things. And I agree with you that we just simply do not have the resources to control and enforce adherence to whatever permit is granted out there. We really have to make this sort of a leading measure. So I agree. I'd like to think about it, totally supportive of it and what it's trying to achieve onto itself. But yes, I think there's some.
Well, and not only them, but other artists that want to do similar things.
Right.
I'm in full support of it, but there has to be limits where you can't consider W2 the same as C1. And I know they had a successful gallery down in the C1, but that's just it. It was in the C1. It's not, this isn't commercial out there. And I have to be mindful of people who also, maybe built a house nearby, paid property taxes, and not only the current ones, but future ones. And they might buy property and they, what's all this music going on every night? Not saying that Steve and Mary might be doing that, but I have concerns that if it goes with the property and someone else starts to do more and more, to your point, David, and.
well, and yeah, if a neighboring property gets sold and somebody buys it, all of a sudden they move in and there's,
Property changes hands. It's never gonna be in the same hands forever, for eternity, so. And that has to be considered, I think.
Well, why don't we write down any concerns we have for next meeting so we can vote on it and put it to rest. Okay. Girls?
Yeah, that's fine. But we have a motion and a second on the floor, so.
Yeah. We gotta vote on it.
and we just had our discussion, so let's vote. All in favor?
I have a motion, what's the motion?
Yeah, and I second it. But now, can we amend that to go back and, say that we want to,
I think you just vote on it either A or nay.
all right.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jim made the motion, so.
Yeah, well, and I second it, but I'll nay now so that everybody has a chance to voice their opinions on it.
Well, no, I have to vote nay to Jim's motion.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna vote nay just because I agree with Charlie. We need to reflect on it.
on reflection,
Do you like for what is that, what you're doing or?
kind of.
Say,
Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
All opposed?
Okay.
Nay.
Nay.
One thing I'd like to know is, we, just to make sure this thing keeps moving. Now, set back to the next.
Yeah, 30 days.
meeting. Are we going to require them to have a commercial inspection on the building? The reason I ask is if we are going to make that a condition that we can let them know now so they can start that process. 'Cause
It might go
it
into
takes quite a while.
Would certainly be one of my conditions that I'll list,
Mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just because it's a public space. You know, I think that we have a responsibility.
That's not gonna take 6 months.
I don't know if we can require them, but I'd strongly suggest.
Well, as a condition of the CUP, I think you can.
Yeah, but right at this moment, I mean, if they, I would say for them to do it, yes.
Well, I mean, I think it would be due diligence to look at the file, pull the permit and
That's good.
and see.
But does it really matter what type of building the permit was pulled for? Because at that time, it probably didn't need an inspection. But now I think it does.
Yeah, if it was in a house or something with plumbing where it was gonna need, does he have plumbing in there? I guess I didn't ask.
I don't,
I don't think so.
he
He
may,
just was always gonna have it as a studio.
yeah, he may have water,
Okay,
you know.
I'm just thinking.
Because I think he works in watercolor, so.
No, well,
I have the permit that was pulled in August of 21, and it says the project was described as studio/accessory, and there are notes here about inspection. I think that, and so Rick Gilman pulled the sign. It says inspection 8321 for each point. Who actually would do it? But if it was just pulled as a studio accessory, who would do that? Would that be James? So it's not a
James Price. I've got an email here, a copy of an email that was Glenn's question to James, you know, and I can read that.
Yeah.
It just says, "Dear James, on a different subject, the TPC is holding a public hearing tonight on a request for a CUP on Benjamin Boulevard. The owner wants permission to convert his home occupation to a home business. It's an art gallery that was built in the past 10 years. I understand it didn't get a commercial building inspection at the time it was built, even though it was open to the public. The owner is Steve McHugh, who previously owned the Bell Street Gallery across the street from the Bell Street Tavern. A couple of questions. One, did he ever get his art gallery on Benjamin Boulevard inspected by you? Number two, would it be reasonable for the TPC to require an inspection as a condition of granting the CUP? Thanks much." Okay, so here's the reply from James Price. "Just grab a date and time. I will put it on the calendar." Well, that was actually question number one. I didn't read about their getting together to discuss other stuff. Answer to these great questions. Number one, no, never. So there never was a commercial inspection. Number two, it's required via 205 ordinance. Now, one thing I'm not sure is, was it required via 205 ordinance back when the building was built? That I don't know. A commercial, probably yes. Accessory structure, definitely no. Because accessory structure was added last July. Number three, Mr. McHugh has always been reluctant to work with me, even when Mike Stark advised him to. I have no records on this structure, residential or commercial. It would need permitting and inspected as a commercial change of use to public business. If this helps, I'm always available for TPC questions and comment. Thanks for asking, J.M. Price. So, you know, if that can offer any insight, you know.
I think we've got to advise them that he's got to be on the roster with this guy, so he takes care of that. There's too many questions.
Yeah, I think without it, it does open up a lot of questions, so I would
There's
encourage
gonna be
Steve.
time.
I'd encourage Steve and Mary to get price out there, and
Yeah.
if that's either a consensus of this commission, or if we want to make a motion, but it's
I think a consensus.
consensus.
And chances are.
I think that's only fair to Steve and Mary to start that process.
So I'm gonna ask if we have a consensus.
Do we have a consensus, to suggest to Steve and Mary that they get, James Price out there for a change of use to commercial and us a UDC commercial inspection?
Affirmative.
Affirmative, yeah.
Affirmative.
So who's gonna let them know this? It has to be communicated to them if anything's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Is that something
Yeah.
you can do, man?
Max, you can. Max, he's
Thank you.
yay.
I'll
At the moment.
I'll do that later.
Okay, thank you.
As long as we're still on this, I just wanna point out, Glenn had a question about the parking. And
I thought I saw pretty big parking in the,
Yeah, they have a lot of.
In the map.
so in our ordinance, it says for home business, it requires 2 parking spaces in addition to residential parking requirements.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
I mean, isn't it my understanding that by switching this to a home business, they could also have other people display their art, or, is it,
No, they can have other people work there.
okay.
Right.
But nobody else is there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the major things going from home occupation to home business is the number of employees.
It's just the number of employees, I think.
That's certainly one of the major.
It does say for home business that there's gonna be no retail or wholesale products or displays of products except for those products or services that are actually produced at the site.
I mean, that's the whole idea of home occupation, home business, is to allow people to, sell their creations, their wares. Or if you're a contractor, a plumber, or who, a base of operations, and that's like good for everybody, because commercial zone's only so big, but at the same time, you have to balance the residential aspect of that and the rights of the people in the vicinity of said home business.
Well, yeah, peaceable enjoyment should be paramount.
I don't think it's asking too much.
Yeah.
It always seems to get swept under the rug, that part.
That's where I was.
So would we then present these conditions potentially on the July 2nd meeting? Do we have a July 2nd? Is that-
Mm-hmm. We discussed it more.
Well, moving on, yes.
So that down there, I guess.
Future agenda items? Same old, same old.
Well, yeah.
One thing I would like to add on future agenda items is to once again look at chapter 205, building construction. As it's written right now, it says that that the UDC inspector basically will inspect new 1 and 2 family residential buildings, commercial buildings, including agricultural buildings, detached structures, and residential accessory buildings. And so those 3 items, agricultural buildings, detached structures, and residential accessory buildings, according to Wisconsin State Statutes, chapter SPS 320.05, those 3 structures are all exempt.
So right now, doesn't inspect things like pole barns, garages, and the like, or he does?
Well, the
It says it's exempt.
agricultural buildings,
We're more restrictive than the state of Wisconsin.
yeah. This got written in the last
when they.
So we wanna remove that language, is what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay,
Yes.
just so we're clear.
Yeah, and we're still,
Don't need to be.
we're still waiting for, you know, James Price and Glenn to meet apparently.
Okay. Cause did he, I never thought Price.
Cause didn't, we brought up this 205 and it just kind of got,
Well, let's put it on the next, we're not discussing.
Right.
yeah.
Discuss it.
And McHugh is on.
So chapter 205,
UDC. Building.
McHugh. CUP,
You will do review and approve land use application. This is gonna be on there forever.
Yeah, you want the land use permit, approval process, or you have a checklist, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We're not, are you gonna use that or not, or?
Yeah, I will use it. I didn't get around to it.
Okay.
On this one, but.
Okay.
I thought it was nicely done.
Why
Yeah,
don't,
it was nice. It's helping for me.
We got it.
no, maybe we should print up copies. So
Yeah.
everybody has.
We don't have
But
The copy I saw was thorough.
Rick Rickizer actually used it, even though I'm the one that's supposed to use it. I think he was trying to help me out.
Oh, really?
He used it on 2 new ones.
Well, it might be easier for them too, for a contractor or even a homeowner.
Sure.
You know,
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And one of these is for raising an existing property. Does that have to come to you guys?
you know, what's existing?
They're gonna tear down Eric Smith's house on Big Bear Road. Mimi's house, she's gonna build another house.
Susan Dexter's old house,
Susan
the bad house.
So this is a land use permit, there's raise an existing structure, does that come with TPC?
I don't know.
well, it wasn't on the exemption list, so it would have to.
Okay.
Anything else?
In terms of a future agenda, and maybe this is on the zoning administrative report, and I just don't know better, but it would be great to get an update on resident permits as they due in the middle of this month.
Okay, so what's going on with short-term rental permits, they're taking that job away from the zoning administrator. And it was on the town board discussion, they're talking about either they're creating a job description has been created, the draft. And what they're talking about is combining that with the treasurer position, because the treasurer involves, you know, the collection side of the TV. And they could be, it'd be efficient to use them for making sure that people are paying and they're paying correctly.
On time.
And so that town board is considering it. Well, I mean, I guess I'm saying for the TPC meetings, we could still get a report from whoever is doing it and presenting it. I mean, can do that, but I'm not, neither myself as interim nor probably the person who would get hired as zoning administrator will be doing that part of the job.
It's just good information. Yeah.
What's one?
It's just good information for us.
Sure.
I just saw it turn up on one of the reports before, and that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
It is coming through here.
Right.
Extended public comment. Paul.
3 things. Number one, I was wondering, when it comes to permit applications, instead of just saying, reviewing through land use applications, list 1, John Smith, single family dwelling, 2, John Doe, garage, something like that. That's how they always used to do it. They got away with it with Stephanie and Jennifer and Lisa and the last 2 zoning administrators. Second, if they tear down Susan Dexter's house, I hope the heck was fast and move up the road. And
No,
nothing else to add.
I have a lot of mosquitoes. I'd be happy.
Okay, well, that's true. You just don't want them in the house. Third, I know Sylvan was worried this meeting would go until 7 and 6:09. I can rattle on for that. It's 51 minutes of here.
Oh, it's less than 5 minutes, so right here. Can't do it.
Next scheduled meeting,
Second, I think. I think.
Looking.
Before the
Yep, July 2nd. You want to make it 4:30? No, you kind of want it 4, but
Oh, what did David and
Yeah,
Jim?
everybody else wants, you know me.
4:30 or 5 is fine with me.
Like 4:30.
Yeah. It's
Four
not
thirty.
interfere with your game.
Sorry, Sue Ellen.
You know.
It's better than 5.
Well, we were 4:30 for years, so we were up to 4 for years.
thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Paul.
It is
Nicely done.
6:05.
I'll have to go back to Oregon between now and I come back, I'll be back on the 30th. And then for the rest, basically, tomorrow's the summer. Used to clean. You know, it's